This is the worst that we've actually seen it. I've lived in San Jose for 34 years, and we've never seen it this low before.
This year's dramatic drought has been obvious enough on land, where lawns have turned brown as California residents worked to save water. But there are few places where its effects have been clearer than in the state's waterways. Case in point, San Jose's Guadalupe River. The stretch of the river outside the office where Richard Tejeda teaches children about native wildlife was just 3 inches deep last week. Shallow, slow-flowing water is fine for invasive species, but for steelhead trout and salmon, which most people consider native to the river, it spells trouble.
And I can tell you that earlier this year, I don't remember catching a trout. Last year, I caught about 50.
To make the problem worse, local officials don't have a good grasp on how the numbers of steelhead and salmon in the river change each year. That's because monitoring fish populations can be expensive, sometimes costing as much as hundreds of thousands of dollars to monitor a single river intensively for a year, according to San Jose State professor Jerry Smith. Currently, no one does official counts of steelhead or salmon in the Guadalupe River. Because of that, it isn't clear how the drought has affected their numbers. Part of why Tejeda is concerned is that the steelhead and salmon in one river are genetically different from those in the next. If all the fish that breed in one river die, their genetic strain could be wiped out altogether. That may or may not be a problem, Tejeda says.
Biodiversity is important, and our ecosystem is important, and everything has a place. And if we let a species or a strain go extinct, we don't know the outcome that would have on the ecosystem. We don't know exactly what the benefits were of having them in this geologic area, And so that's just the importance in general, is that we don't know what's going to happen if we let them die or go extinct. And until we know, why would you want to let that happen when we don't know exactly what's going to happen? It can collapse the ecosystem just because it's gone or something. Maybe another animal's not able to eat. If that animal's not able to eat, now it has to go and find another food source, and that's going to deplete that. And once that's depleted, maybe it's another source gets depleted because that's what they ate. And so it just goes on and on. And so it's in our best interest to take care of all species of animals.
There are a number of possible solutions. Tejeda believes a good option is optimizing a bypass on the Guadalupe River for salmon and steelhead spawning.
And so a good idea would be to, in a drought area, have big storage containers that can release water in a drought system into this bypass channel so that you don't have to keep the whole Guadalupe River channel wet. You can keep the bypass channel wet, and also you can rescue fish throughout the system and put them in this area so that they can have their own area. And here you'll be releasing cool, clean, well-oxygenated water right into that bypass channel, And so the bypass channel is only, 3 to 5 feet long, as opposed to the Guadalupe River, where in some sections it's, 20 feet wide or whatever it may be. And so you're using less water to keep this bypass channel wet.
Another option is prioritizing releasing water from the county's reservoirs into rivers instead of washing cars and watering lawns. Santa Clara County's Water Board is considering a proposal to do just that. The plan would help lower the risk that the river would dry out too early in the year, stranding fish, and it would add colder reservoir water, which is better for the fish's health and makes it more likely that their eggs will hatch. Former Water Board member Brian Schmidt says passing new policies limiting residents' water use could save enough water to make the proposal feasible.
My last board meeting, the last thing I got to say was that we should circulate for discussion just banning outdoor watering during the wintertime. It rains in the wintertime. Why should people water during the wintertime?
Water Board Committee member Nancy Smith says it's also important for residents to save water on their own to help the fish.
I think everybody needs to get a bucket and start collecting their their shower water, and start flushing their toilets with their shower water. You don't have to flush every single time. And we haven't really started things like, if it's yellow, let it mellow. If it's brown, flush it down. But we're going to need to start that pretty soon. It's going to get bad if we don't get more rain soon. So I think just being really cautious about water and treating it like liquid gold.